From the CyberHub bunker and studio, you're tuning in to the CyberHub podcast. And now for your host and CISO, James Azar.
Hola, everyone. James Azar here. May 5th, 2021. It is Cinco de Mayo. So, hola, feliz. My Spanish is very rusty. My wife's much better at it than I ever will be. Welcome to today's Practitioner Brief, giving you the risk, impact, and mitigation. It feels like between May 4th and May 5th should be just a national holiday, 2 days off, so we can, one, celebrate May the 4th be with you, and then the next day have a fiesta with our Mexican friends for Cinco de Mayo. Just a suggestion. If you like it, boost it up. Maybe more people join us. We've got a lot of things to talk about on today's show, from millions of Dell users at risk from a Kernel-Privilege bug to a worldwide phishing attack that's delivering 3 different forms of malware. Twilio becomes the latest victim of Codecov, a massive DDoS attack in Belgium, and all of a sudden China's out of the headlines. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. And an Android update for May 2021 has been released. 40 different things to talk about there as well. So a lot on the show. Today's show is brought to you by, so first, we're live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. For all of those tuning in live, hello, good morning, welcome, good afternoon, wherever you are, good night. If you're tuning in from the other side of the world, make sure to subscribe, make sure to like, comment, let us know what you think and the stories that really matter to you. I do listen to feedback, as people can tell you and attest to it. I want to give a big shout out to our show partners today, which is KnowBe4, Wistic, and Ativo Networks. Make sure to check them out and support the awesome sponsors that support our program. And now, without further ado, don't forget the espresso. That's what I'm going for, Jonathan, right now. That's literally the next thing I'm going for. Good morning to Matt. Here is my usual beautiful cup of espresso. And now you see how nice that foam is. Like, for those who don't watch this show, they don't understand just the coffee aspect of our program, which I think is as important as the cyber news we go for. But yeah, this is a Peet's coffee too, by the way. So I love Peet's. Peet's probably makes the best espresso outside of like Sprouts organic espresso capsules. Pete makes, bar none, the best espresso capsules, even better than Nespressos. I know that's blasphemy for some Nespresso folks, but it is what it is. All right, let's get right into what's going on. Risk, impact, and mitigation. Here we go. Hundreds of millions of Dell users are at risk from a kernel-privileged bug. The bug escalation, the privilege escalation bug has been hidden for 12 years and is present in all Dell PCs, tablets, and notebooks that have been shipped since 2009. This is from a report from ThreatPost. So, 5 high-severity security flaws in Dell's firmware update driver are impacting potentially hundreds of millions of Dell desktops, laptops, notebooks, and tablets, according to researchers. This is coming from the folks over at Sentinel Labs, who wrote in a blog post yesterday that the 5 bugs are collectively being tracked to CVE 2021-21551, and they carry a CVSS vulnerability severity rating of 8.8 out of 10. The privilege escalation to kernel mode is, according to Sentinel Labs, comes in these different formats. So the 5 bugs specifically are LPE number 1, due to memory corruption. LPE number 2, also due to memory corruption. LPE number 3 is due to lack of input validation. LPE number 4, also due to a lack of input validation and denial of service flaw due to the code logic issue. Sentinel Labs researchers said they're withholding the proof of concept exploit until June 1st, which will be for the LPE number 1 issue. However, they did break down some general issues with the driver, including remote access, the ability to invoke and essentially have input and output control requests without any access control list on these devices. A patch and a workaround has been released by Dell. I've started including, several of you have messaged me on LinkedIn and asked that I include all the links to all the stories. So if you're watching us on social media, they're right there. If you're listening on your favorite podcast listening platform, all the links to all the stories, including the one you're looking right here, which is the Dell directive, is on our show notes, so you can get them there. And these are really critical. So the vulnerability has remediation right now and some updates from Dell to take care of it. It's significant simply because Dell is widely used in the enterprise environment. So you want to get these things updated and patched as quickly as humanly possible. Now that we know it's out there and we know that there's a proof of concept to it as well, understand that if Sentinel Labs have it, threat actors are going to have it very, very quickly, and they're going to be capitalizing on it soon thereafter. So just please keep that in mind as you're going through updating your devices today. Is don't let this be something that you put on the back burner or assign an intern to take care of. And if you're going to assign an intern, hold the intern accountable for it as well, by the way, just so you know. So a worldwide phishing attack delivers 3 new malware strains. This is a very, very interesting global scale phishing campaign that's on a global scale targeting over 50 organizations from a wide variety of industries, all in December of last year, according to Mandiant, right before the disclosure of SolarWinds. So UNC 2529er, as Mandiant threat researchers track the uncategorized threat group behind this campaign, have deployed 3 new strains of malware called double drag, double drop, and double back. The 2 waves of attack, the group used phishing emails with links to a JavaScript-based downloader or an Excel document with an embedded macro that downloads an in-memory PowerShell-based dropper from attackers' command and control servers. The double drop dropper bundles 32 and 64-bit instances of a backdoor implemented as a PE dynamic library. The backdoor gets injected into the PowerShell process spawned by the dropper. Still, it's designed to later attempt to inject itself into a newly spawned Windows installer process if Bitdefender's antivirus engine is not running on the compromised computer. There's multiple different stages to it. There's also signs of spear phishing, meaning they're really picking their targets and going at this with a lot of focus. 74% of the victims are from the US, 13% are from EMEA, so that's Africa and Europe and the Middle East, and only 13% are in Asia, predominantly the Asian nations, including Australia, China, not being a part of it. Neither is Russia, very interestingly enough, as of right now, going after a whole new set of different consumers across a very wide set of industry. Seems to be a very interesting aspect of it. Mandiant's report here does have, and we'll load that up here, all the IOCs and TTPs, and that's fireeye.com/blog threat research. And I'll try to post this link on our CyberHub podcast LinkedIn page later today because I did not include it in the show notes. So for you guys that want to see it, you'll be able to do that there as well. We move to Codecov. So I've been very critical of Codecov because I feel like they've lacked transparency in their supply chain attack. And I feel like they'd get a lot more sympathy from the community as a whole because we are a forgiving community as practitioners. We all understand the challenges of trying to secure our organization wholeheartedly. But now Twilio discloses impact from the Codecov supply chain access. This we've reported on it. This is a story from Bleeping Computer. Twilio announced that it was impacted by this shortly after Codecov had disclosed a security incident concerning its Bash uploader last month. Twilio was notified that they were impacted too. Twilio claims that several clients had their information exposed predominantly around the idea of email addresses of customers and to update their user token that has also been exposed. So the tokens needs to be reissued. And a small number of email addresses belonging to Twilio customers were also disclosed as part of this breach. Twilio is not the only company to be reported. HashiCorp, the cloud giant, is also one of the other victims as well. And again, if you are in an event, the Microsoft doctrine works. Be transparent. be open. You're only going to earn more customers. You're only going to keep the customers that are there. Like, really, it's not hard, folks. It's really not hard. I wish they would just get out of this. I got to hoard all the information and not say anything to anyone and only notify people with very little information, and then let that be the case. A few comments here from Mohammed. No, if you're going to sign an intern, just treat as a new coming employee. I agree. Interns should be that, and don't give away the keys to the kingdom without assurance and oversight. But patching systems should be something basic that the entry-level people that you hire should be able to handle with some slight oversight from someone who you trust within the organization. We move to our next story here. A massive DDoS attack took large sections of Belgium's internet offline yesterday at a very interesting time. So why launch a massive scale DDoS attack on a country like Belgium that really, outside of beer and chocolate, is the other thing it's known for is being the bureaucratic capital of the EU, because the European Union's diplomatic headquarters are all in Brussels. I'll go down now. Here's something suspicious that you're not going to see in the article, and some news stories have actually edited this piece out. This ISP attack happened at a time where Chinese Uyghur camp survivors were about to testify and talk about things that they've experienced in these Uyghur concentration camps that China is running, targeting its Chinese Muslim population. And it is below all expectations that all of a sudden this line has been deleted from multiple news reports. Like, it didn't exist. So on this show, we don't run from it. If something smells like something and looks like something, it is something. And what's happening in China with the Uyghur Muslims is a human rights abuse that we cannot be silent about. If you claim to stand for human rights and you ignore what's happening in China, then you ought to question what human rights you stand up for to begin with. The attack disrupted internet across the entire nation, taking down massive government websites, research centers, educational institutes, scientific institutes, governmental institutes. Several committee meetings and debates had to be postponed, including the one addressing the Uyghur Muslim human rights abuses that are going on in China. And so we'll continue to mention it here. And it's according to Belnet, they say it's unclear who's behind the attack, and to file the complaint. But don't be surprised if at some point this comes back to China, or it gets buried and you never hear about it again, because this was a warning shot by China at Belgium and the EU to not mess with internal Chinese affairs, as they call it. Our final story for the day is the Android update for May 2021. A patch over 40 vulnerabilities. I got a little excited there with the whole Belgium thing, folks. It bugs me. It really does. I'm willing to call bad no matter where it comes from. And I wish more people would do the same and just have a little bit of integrity to, if you say you're a human rights advocate, if you say you want to fight for equality and equity and all those things, be also willing to point out other countries that are far worse at these atrocities than anyone else is. This is, all right, here we go. The Android operating system updates released by Google for May 21, patch total of 42 different vulnerabilities, including 4 that are considered critical severity. The most severe of these issues is a critical security vulnerability in the system component that could enable a remote attacker using a specially crafted file to execute arbitrary code within the context of a privileged process, according to Google. Tracked as CVE 2021-0473-0474. 2 of these bugs affect Android 8.1, 9, 10, and 11 releases, while the third CVE 2021-0475 impacts Android 10 and 11 only. In addition to these critical bugs, 5 other vulnerabilities were addressed in Android systems, all rated high severity. 3 of these could lead to elevation of privileges, while the remaining 2 may be exploited for information disclosure. So make sure you get your Android devices, if that is your thing, get those patched. That's it for our practitioner brief today, folks. One last comment here from Matt as we wrap up. Thank you. China hides atrocities daily. Yes, they do, Matt. They absolutely do. And we ought to call them out if we've got the ability to do so. And I do. And I'll keep speaking the truth no matter what side it comes from. So we'll continue to do that because that is just the right thing to do. And we should stand up for the right thing to do a little bit before capital. Just every once in a while, especially when it's human lives. So that's it for us here today. Happy Cinco de Mayo for everyone celebrating Cinco de Mayo. Please enjoy today. Have yourself some good food and have a good party, and make sure to tune in later today. A CISO Talk drop. My conversation with Ron Green and Robin Bianfi, part 2 will be dropping later today, so you don't want to miss it. If you missed the Cyber FinTech conference last week and you weren't able to attend, I'll be posting the second part of that interview right now today on the CISO Talk channel. So go subscribe there to get that, or you can watch it on YouTube at CyberHub Podcast. Make sure to go there and subscribe. We'll be back tomorrow, 9 a.m. to wrap up this week. A great tech corner this week also with Juan Rodriguez, the CEO of the CTO and founder of Wistic. You don't want to miss it. We have a great conversation of engineers and security engineering. So something you definitely don't want to miss. Again, see you tomorrow, 9 a.m. And Brittany, hey, Brittany. Hey, Cinco de Mayo. It is Cinco de Mayo. I love Cinco de Mayo. And I miss Colorado. Funny story here. Just as we end, every year when I was in high school for Cinco de Mayo, and I lived in Colorado, we'd drive down Colfax, and it'd just be a huge thing of cars around just Colfax and Federal in Denver. And it's all Cinco de Mayo, and every parking lot's got a festivity going on there. And I hope that this year Cinco de Mayo comes back, better than ever. So that's awesome. Happy Cinco de Mayo. And to everyone celebrating, thank you, Brittany, for tuning in. Mohammed says the human rights stand-ups are politicized by lobbyists just like everything else. Indeed. And Raymond says, congratulations, excellent webinar. And make sure Ron Green will be on later today on the CISO Talk podcast, so you don't want to miss it. Ron Green, the CISO over at MasterCard, with Robin Bianfi, who actually got him his first non-secret service role. So it's a fun conversation. The second part, we really dig into cyber and fintech, so you don't want to miss it. I'll be back tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, live right here on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And for those listening after, in fact, subscribe and go follow us on social media and watch the show live as well. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching. Have a great rest of your day, and happy Cinco de Mayo.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.